Hi, my name is Michael Crowley, and I live in Lowell, Mass., and I've also owned a house in Lowell, Mass. for the last 9 years. I'm going to start off right now with a non-sacrilegious joke. At St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, there were three workmen working on the ceiling of the basilica, and one workman said to the other two, "Listen, we're going to have some fun. There's an elderly lady praying down below them." And so he yells out, "This is God." And there's no response. Then he yells out for the second time, "This is God." No response. And for the third time, he yells out, "This is God." And she looks up and she said, "Shut your mouth. I talking to your mother." And then I was driving past St. Patrick's Cemetery in Lowell recently, and the person that I was with said, "Do you know how many people are buried in there?" And I said, "I don't know." And she said, "All of them." So that might have been a monumental mistake telling that one. In 1959, Nikita Khrushchev visited the United States, and he sat next to Marilyn Monroe at a dinner party. And Marilyn Monroe later commented to a friend that she didn't like Nikita because he was overweight and he had a lot of moles on his face. And in 1962, she later commented to another friend. She said, "I know Jack Kennedy, and Nikita Khrushchev is no Jack Kennedy." And one time I was substituting at an elementary school, and I saw my schedule, and it said 12:30 to 1:35, C office. So I went upstairs, glanced at the office, and then went into the nearest teacher's room. Who are those people who are constantly overweight? Those who are always saying the expression, "I live life to the fullest." And you are not living life to the fullest by listening to my jokes right now. And there was a husband having trouble swallowing Chinese food, so his wife said, "Take a little drink." So he took his large size Coca-Cola and went to the refrigerator and exchanged it for a small Coca-Cola, went back to the table and took 2 swallows of it. So I hope you swallowed that joke without indigestion. And one time I went to a school cafeteria and I had 35 cents change in I didn't have any change in my pocket, and I wanted to get a carton of milk, and I only had a $5 bill, and the carton of milk cost 35 cents. So I asked the cafeteria worker, "Could you change a 5? And she said yes. So she took my $5 bill and then gave me her $5 bill, and that was it. And so that was I'm glad I finished that joke. And let's see, the next one, if you're still awake, would be, let's see, right here. And let's see, in Brooklyn, New York, in the early 1950s, there was a gentleman who rented an apartment in a shabby area of Brooklyn. And so he was in the apartment, and he leaned against the wall, and a chunk of it went out. And he looked through the chunk, and he saw his next-door neighbor in the adjoining apartment. And he said, "Hi, my name is Tom Smith." And the gentleman on the other side of the wall said, "I don't know you from a hole in the wall." So I was plastered when I told that joke. And let's see, the next one would be, let's see, okay, right there, okay. Who are the people most likely to take a martial arts training course? Sheriffs. And there was a court jester about to be hung for telling too many puns, and so the king pardoned him. And when the court jester heard about the pardon, he said, "No news is good news." And then when the king heard what the court jester said, he said, "Hang the SOB." And let's see, I knew a woman named Mrs. Bunker, and when anybody accidentally referred to her as Mrs. Bunker Hill, they had better be prepared to engage in a monumental battle. Who are the people with high standards? Those who, whenever they are standing, are at least 6 foot tall. And I have a bright 5-year-old niece in West Hartford, Connecticut, who one time asked her older sister, an 8-year-old sister, for a favor. And the older sister kept on saying, "No way, Jose. No way, Jose." And finally the 5-year-old piped up, "Yes way, Jose. Yes way, Jose." And a wife, a Christian, was one time recently watching the Pope on TV, and her husband, an atheist, came into the room, and she said to her husband, "The Pope's at a prison." And the husband looked at her and said, "What did he do?" What is the favorite meal of the British family? Sirloin steak. And what is the definition of a free bee? A bee who has escaped a highly overpopulated beehive. Okay, and let's see. Who are those most likely to get cold feet before a marriage? An Eskimo who can't afford a pair of shoes. What is the best time for a chimney sweep company to call your house? When the entire family is out of the house. Why would Donald Trump have made a good undertaker? Because he is always putting people down. That was a grave mistake telling that one. And I am forgetful as heck, because one time I forgot, I lost a book about heaven. And let's see, there was a guy who never went to a rock concert because he was afraid that he would get a concussion. Just like you're afraid you would get brain damage by continually listening to my jokes. How do you know a female presto screams when she is being groped? And the answer is the song Twist and Shout. Who are the people who are especially adept in the Dewey Decimal System? And the answer is campers who are always using tense. And the other day at Market Basket, they made an announcement that they are selling lobsters left and right. Who the heck cares whether the predominant claw of a lobster is the left claw or the right claw? The person who's taping this is going into a coma. What was the first miracle performed by St. Patrick? He drove the snakes out of Ireland 15 centuries before the invention of the automobile. Recently, I was talking to a friend over the phone who knows I have a weight problem, and he ended the conversation by saying, "Eat wisely." And I said to him, you should have said, "Eat lazily," because I prefer Lay's potato chips. Okay, and you wish you had a bag to throw at me right now. Okay, Mayor Walsh recently made it known that he plans to seek a higher office, and already Democrats are encouraging him to apply for a job at a lighthouse off the Massachusetts coast. What do you call a female rabbit who is an action movie star? A heroine. So don't be hopping mad when you listen to that one. And when a bear is shutting down his computer, what choice does he usually make? Hibernate. And let's see, let's see. At a Greek festival church a couple of weeks ago, I was behind a couple, and they got a leaflet, and they were reading it, and it said tours 1 to 6 p.m. And they both agreed that a 5-hour tour was too long, and they threw the leaflet in the nearest trash receptacle. The monks in the 15th century were taught to look upon woman as a bag of bones. So one time, a man and a woman had an argument, and the woman fled to her mother's house, but she passed a monk on the way. When the husband was pursuing her, he came up to the monk and he said, "Excuse me, Your Holiness, do you know whether did you see a woman pass this way?" And the monk looked at him. He says, "A man or a woman, I cannot say. All I know is that a bag of bones passed this way." And let's see, the next one is, okay, and here we go. One time, Ari Onassis was asking Jackie Onassis why Bobby Kennedy That was Jacqueline Kennedy's brother-in-law, why Bobby Kennedy disliked him so much. And Jackie Kennedy looked at Ari and said, "Don't worry about it, Ari. Bobby was blessed with the gift of estrangement at birth." And I'm committing estrangement with the audience who's still suffering. And I have insomnia, but I don't lose any sleep over it. There was a guy so desperate for a date that whenever he went to a restaurant, he asked for a takeout. One time, King Arthur needed a message sent out to a remote village, so he asked Sir Lancelot to send the message by going on a horse. Sir Lancelot came back 10 minutes later and said, "King Arthur, there's no horses, but I want to go out on a Great Dane to deliver the message." And King Arthur looked at him and says, "Oh no, Sir Lancelot, I wouldn't send a knight out on a dog like this." And what did Attila's wife usually say to him when she woke up in the morning? "How you doing, hun?" And who are the people most likely to talk trash? Hefty people who are glad when they are talking trash. And the last two, where in Lowell, Massachusetts are lambs most likely to reside? Shepherd Street, Lowell. And I knew I would get into a flock of trouble by telling that one. And let's see, and the next one is, the last one is, when I was first diagnosed with diabetes, I raised Cain, and the doctor looked at me and said, "Mr. Crowley, it's all right for you to raise Cain as long as it's not sugar cane." So that would be it, and I perform at the Abroad Awakening the first and third Tuesdays of the month at 7 p.m. That's in Lowell, Massachusetts. And I guess that will be it for now, and thank you very much for your attention. Yeah.